I only plan to read just a chapter. However, 4 chapters later, I was hooked. Today, we're talking with Charles House about Arcblade, Legend of the Defiler, a sci fi adventure that quickly pulled me into its world. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to In Between Realms, where we explore the worlds behind fantasy through conversations with authors, creators, and fellow book lovers. I'm your host, Elizabeth, and I'm so happy you're here. But before we jump in today's interview, let's spend a few minutes catching up on everything happening in my little corner of the fantasy world. For some book news, I gotta tell you, I just found out about this one, and I'm already a little unhinged about it though. If you love politics, monsters, and morally gray royalty, meet The Harpy Night by Sarah Omer, which just dropped this month. It's book two in her Chaos Constellation trilogy, and first book already had best-selling author calling it epic, vicious, and unforgettable. So, of course, no pressure on book two or anything. Here's the plot, though, and I need you to buckle up. We've got a conquering Egyptian king, a princess forced to marry the guy who literally destroyed her country, which is already a red flag the size of a big dragon. Demonic powers spiraling out of control, and gods and monsters and a djinn all watching from the sidelines like this is a finale of a reality show. Nobody's okay. Everyone has a secret, and I love it already. If you're into god killing, this is giving your next obsession energy. Full disclosure, I have not read it yet. I'm going in completely blind right along with you. So if any of you have already devoured the Egyptian king, drop it in the comments and tell me if this sequel lives up to the chaos because it just earned a spot on my TBR, which is very long still. Way, way long. But it's in there all the same. So, what about my reading updates? Well, reading updates. Reading has been a little bit all over the place lately. I've been jumping between a few books, but I'm trying to get back into focusing on one book at a time instead of starting five at once. We'll see how long that lasts. Well, we'll see. All right, so about my writing updates. Writing has taken a bit of a backseat while I'm been working on events and the podcast, and don't worry, the characters haven't stopped talking. They're still reminding me they have a story to tell. So hopefully I'll be back in Fractional Realms very, very soon. And for In-Game Realms updates, we have 74 days until the realm opens on September 19th. Every week we're getting closer and I'm working on immersive detail, vendor spotlights, and little surprises that I can't wait to reveal. If you've been following along, you've already seen a few sneak peeks, and trust me, there are many, many more to come. As of Bookish Realms update, that is about 46 days until Bookish Realms Market, which is on August 22nd. Vendor spots are filling up, and I'm working hard to promote the event and bringing readers together. Don't forget, the first 30 attendees will receive a free Bookish Realms tote bag, so be sure to reserve your free ticket and arrive early. And now, let's step in today's conversation. I'm excited to welcome Charles House, author of Arcblade, Legend of the Defiler, the first book in the Arcblade saga. It's a a fantasy adventure that blends adventure technology, magic, mystery, and exploration in a way that immediately put me in. I only plan to read the sample, just like the first chapter, and I end up reading the chapters that were the sample, and I had to like get the book. I really enjoy the beginning, so Charles, welcome into In Between Realms. It's
Thank you.
great to have you here. For everybody who doesn't know the story, myself, I only read the four sample chapters. Tell us a little bit about your world.
Well, it's 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 about a starship crew that discovers a previously unknown world. The whole idea is that the crew is exploring space, finding new worlds, resources, and they're trying to get anything that can help a conflict back home. And so they stumble on this world. First one they saw on like a year long trip, and they discover that it's full of life, civilizations, and they like right at the start they get trapped there and they get pulled into a conflict, and they're really out of their depth because the the method in which they're trapped and the people that they encounter are using magic. And this is a like a scientific based society that magic's not something they expect. They don't know what this is, so they're caught completely off guard, and that sets the stage for them exploring the planet, interacting with the people, getting used to this idea that magic is a thing, and they have to find a way to handle the conflict, which is like a war it's in the middle of a war between an ancient group of mages and the rest of the planet, and in the process trying to find a way home.
Yeah, I when I was reading the story, the four chapters actually got up late night yesterday, and I really got into it, and I was like, I'm not that type of that typical type of book I don't really read, not because I wasn't really introduced to that when I had started reading. Because I was more of a I used to read self-help books and listen to audiobooks of that. And I got into the world of fantasy back in 2024 when my sister introduced me to, Fae and all those magical books. But when I read it yesterday, I really, really enjoyed it at the beginning. From the moment it opened, the first chapter, and I kept reading up to like the whole chapter up to like 3 in the morning because it was like I was really late. So I read it through 3 in the morning, and I couldn't stop, and it got me this feeling of tension that I was like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And then I kind of saw the what I guess stranger, the first stranger that came in, and I saw that his intentions were not good. I could
Yeah.
literally like tell. But after that, then a character was introduced, Lark, and
Hmm.
now he was, he got into the ship and everything. But I have like this tension, like, what is gonna happen? Is he gonna be like a character that's pretends to be good but is gonna do something else? I don't know. I was like, I need to get this book and finish reading it. But it was a really good. I like how the character Angel is. She's very shy, I guess you could say, but
Yeah.
very like closed up, and I could feel her because I know he was reading her personal stuff, and she was so embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could feel all that in that even those four chapters, and I didn't even go through everything yet. But without giving any away spoilers, what was that uncertainty exactly what do you hope readers will feel when they met him?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the first encounter with Idura, it's there's no real doubt there. He's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to come off as unsettling. I make sure even the characters are communicating this, if just in case the reader's not picking up on it. Even the characters are like, this guy's creepy, I don't trust him. but
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time they're kind of forced to go along with him because he's the first person they've met. He's the first person that can give them any information. So despite their misgivings, they're kind of forced to trust him. And then when you have the inevitable betrayal, that creates a sense of like, who can we trust? What
Yeah.
information can we trust? You know, I like I like having my reader in a sense. I like that sense of uncertainty. Want them to second guess, like, what are the intentions of this person? What are the intentions of that person? That way, when it's revealed eventually who the person is and what they do, It gives that sense of satisfaction. It's like, yes, I saw that coming, or oh my gosh, I had no idea. I like creating that sense in my reader because it gives them that personal pleasure of bringing them along with the plot and how they feel as a part of the story. And I mean, part of that is I get that from my wife because when we watch TV shows, she does that all the time. Like the moment we watch something, she's like, that person's the killer, that person's evil. And like 90% of the time she's right. But she gets so much satisfaction when she's right. And I like seeing that, and I kind of put that in my writing that I want to do that for my readers as well.
I literally saw that in the first four chapters that I read, and I really like. I felt this. I don't know, this wariness or tension. I'm like, something bad is gonna happen. Something bad is gonna happen. So I wouldn't know. I don't know what's gonna happen, obviously, because I only got to the four chapters, but I had that. I guess that knowledge of the first bad character or the evil one that destroyed and that was basically killing one of the crewmen. And then this Lark came, and now it's like, should we really trust him? He seems too nice. So we will see as I continue reading it. So tell me, one thing I found really interesting was the relationship between technology and magic. Angel comes from this highly advanced scientific background, yet she's suddenly faced with a world where magic is simply part of everyday life. Well, when building this world, which came first, the science fiction elements or the fantasy?
Oh, easily the fantasy. I've been planning like bits and pieces and elements of this book. This is something I've been planning since I was in the 5th grade.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and I tried a few times to write this book as a pure fantasy and nothing else. And each time it kind of never really it never really fell into it. It didn't come together. But then some years ago, I just randomly had this idea. It's like, well, what if I made it a science fiction fantasy blend? And so I kind of went with that, and everything just kind of fell into place. It worked, and I just was able to finish it and make something real out of it.
Perfect. I think you did such a great job, even on the
Thank you.
first four chapters. It really got stuck to me, and it's like I even got had to order the physical book, so it's coming soon. And I got the ebook right after the sample. I got the ebook, but it was already like 3:30 in the morning, and so I was like, I need to read it later. So Angel stuck to me as someone who's incredible, intelligent, and observant. She doesn't rush into conclusion and she seems to process everything before reacting. What
Hmm.
made Angel the right character to experience this world through?
That's a great question. I I like seeing Angel as almost a surrogate for the reader, in
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, when you have a lot of science fiction, it's supposed to be based on the concept of real science. They use concepts like, faster than light travel or space conditions. A lot of these things are approached in science fiction that are based on real science. So there's a foundation that people can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that, it it allows the reader to experience things in that perspective. So when she has such a strong science background and when she analyzes things so carefully, it lets the reader do so in their own way through her eyes. That way, when she's experiencing the magical aspects of the world and the characters and everything, all for the first time, it lets the reader do that along with her. Like they're kind of doing it together. She's like, oh my gosh, there are people who can light things on fire with a snap of their fingers, or there's this fantastical beast I've never even heard of. It gives the reader a chance to share that experience with her.
Yeah, she was. I really liked who she was. I think well, my theory that she'll be opening up herself real soon in the story, but I don't know. I need to really, really read it. One thing I noticed while reading was that every answer seemed to create two more questions. The conclave, the defilers, the history of the world, even the people themselves. How do you approach revealing information without overwhelming the reader or giving too much away too early?
Oof, that was difficult. Because I've seen that in other works, in books and TV shows, that you spoil too much and it makes the rest of the book boring, or you overwhelm the reader and they like, I don't even know if I want to continue this. So that that I did with the help of beta readers. I did the help of my friends, my wife actually. She really helped me with writing, rewriting, and giving me an entirely different perspective
Hmm.
on how the information is portrayed and how a reader might approach everything, because that's exactly the experience I want. Is I want them questioning, I want to leave breadcrumbs, I want to give bit by bit. That way there's something to experience and something new and interesting throughout the entire book. So it was difficult, but yeah, I think I did a fairly good job.
You certainly did. I can only say because of the first four chapters, but you definitely gave me a lot of questions that I want answers for. And I was like, that's why I had to get the book and I need to like continue reading it. But that though there's so many questions that are unanswered that I need answers for. So I'm gonna end up finding out. So I actually found myself constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. Every time Lark helped the crew, I kept thinking, can I really trust him? I created this constant feeling of tension. How do you build suspense like that while still keeping readers invested in the characters?
Oh, that I probably came from growing up watching stuff like this. Like, I grew up watching Star Trek, Star Wars, Stargate. I've read a lot of fantasy novels, so I've seen a lot of ways that tension is built and that the tools that they use to make the audience doubt the intentions of a character. So, I mean, I can't take all the credit. I mean, I got a lot of that from things I've watched, and with Lark, the crew needs to be skeptical of him. So,
Mm-hmm.
trying to make sure the reader has that as well, at least at the start, was really important.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm so impressed about the book. I really am. I really liked it because I mean I really got myself really hooked in the first four chapters, and I I wish I could have read. I saw one of your clips because I was looking through your Instagram,
Yeah.
and I saw somebody was doing you have an audiobook coming up for that book.
I I want to. Funds are the main hurdle there, because I want to find someone that has the skill and the talent to narrate my book
Mm-hmm.
well, but at the same time I acknowledge if I want somebody like that, I need to pay them what they're worth, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
I mean, I thought about doing it myself, but frankly, I just don't think I have the talent to do it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think the moment I run into one of my female characters and try to do their voice, I would just be terrible. So it's mostly only fun. But I want to do an audiobook version of all my books
Okay.
eventually, because I know audiobooks are so important. I've actually recently gotten into them myself.
Yeah.
So I see the importance of them and the accessibility, and I definitely want to do that. It's just, getting the money is the main thing.
Yeah, I understand. I'm actually an audiobook girly, so the fact that I was actually able to read your book, that's a big milestone for me because I'm not a person that I collect books because I read them. I mean, I listen to them,
Yeah.
and because I'm busy and doing so many things that for me it's easier to listen to the book. But the fact that I was able to read through your chapters, that's for me it's impressive.
A
So
huge compliment. Thank you.
you're very welcome. The world itself feels incredible alive. Even with the first few chapters, it already feels like there's much larger history beyond what the readers know. How much of the world history did you already have planned before writing the first book?
Oh, pretty much all of it. There is a
Okay.
um, I, I've got. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to try to not spoil anything, but I've got a pretty detailed background for the history of the planet, the people, and the way it's going to come together in future books. As a matter
Mm.
of fact, actually, a lot of it's going to be revealed in the first book, but then the finer details and the importance of those details are going to be revealed in later books. But yeah, I had it all planned out. I mean, even now, I'm like every day I'm coming up with news. It's like, oh, this will be great for book 3. This will be good for book 7. Like, oh, I got a great idea for the finale at the end of my series. I'm like all the time I'm coming up with ideas and making notes.
How many books are you planning for these series?
Altogether, I'm planning 8.
Ah.
Um, the first 3 books are going to be kind of a self-contained trilogy, and then I'm planning on doing a prequel, and then
Mm-hmm.
after that is going to be a bit of a generation time jump, and then events that are going to ramp up and wrap up and finalize everything there. So it's still going to be
Okay.
the same characters, but yeah,
Okay.
it's hard talking
Uh,
about this without spoiling anything.
yes, of course. So without spoiling anything, was there a scene in Arcblade that you were especially excited for readers to experience?
There is in chapter 10, there is a scene, and I feel like this is like such a pivotal and important thing in like any fantasy novel is you have to have a chapter that's from the villain's perspective. You have to show the villain in their home, in their place of power, and
Mm.
get a feel for who they are from their own perspective. Because it's so much you get where everybody's like, oh, this person's evil, and we all know so little about them, and they're this huge mystery. But I think it's so important for the reader to know the villain in a way that many of the characters don't.
Mhm.
And chapter 10 shows that. It's going to show villains, it's going to show where they are, it's going to talk about their plans and what they're doing. Not 100% everything, obviously, but it it shows important personality aspects and relationships that's going to be pivotal to the rest of the book and even books beyond. So
Yeah.
that's probably one of my favorites and one I'm really really proud of.
Well, I can't wait to read that part because now I'm more intrigued about it. How long did it take you to write the story from the first idea to publication?
It probably took me at about 2.5 years,
Mm.
mostly because it was my first time writing a book, and I there's just so much I didn't know about the process of writing, editing, publishing, formatting, and all of that. Because I knew pretty early on that I wanted to be a self-published author because I
Mhm.
didn't want to be beholden to a publisher that will probably turn around and say, hey, you can't do this with your book. It's not going to market well, or people don't like this, or you can't have that kind of character. That might put off some of our audience. I wanted to write my book my way. So there is considerably more you have to learn and take on yourself when you self publish your book. That adds quite a bit of time to the process.
Besides this, right now that you publish your book and you're about, you have a plan of a lot more books to it, are you planning anything else for this series? Like, I don't know, besides audiobooks and stuff.
I don't think so. I mean, I've considered like writing some little snippets, like little background things for each character, or there's going to be a bit of a time jump between the second and third books, like a year. And I was thinking about
Okay.
writing a little thing about what happens there. It would all be free, like free access online. I'm not going to charge
Mm-hmm.
people for that. But aside from that, I mean, like any author, I mean, there's dreams of seeing your work turn into a TV show or a movie someday. But like that's really pie in the sky stuff.
I really see that book, actually, your book being part of that world of the TV world, and I wish somebody would get it and be able to make it into a real thing because it is, I'm saying like it is a real good book. I really liked it. Even on the first chapters, I really enjoyed it, and I'm not I don't say that typically because I have a bunch of books. And
Yeah,
those books right there that you see I have like around, those
yeah.
are my show books, my trophy books that I love and enjoy. And yours is gonna be added to there, so it's gonna be
Oh,
in there. So
thank you.
yeah, I'm really impressed about the book, and I like I said, even on the first chapters, and and because I only was able to read the first four chapters, I I was caught into this. I was able to live as if I was there next to them. I could see it. I could see the ship. I could see like the face of the evil character. I can't remember his name. Is I
Idura.
Adora, there you go.
Yeah.
And then I could see all of that in my mind while reading. And I usually, like I said, I'm an audiobook girly, so I imagine it while I listen to them. But now it's like it's a different kind of experience I'm creating with your book, and it's a very really good book. I really do like it. Um, are you someone who outlined everything before you write it, or did you discover the story as you go?
Honestly, I kind of do both. I mean, I do have an outline that I set in place. Like I've got
Hmm.
the bare bones like skeletal plot of all the books already. But at the same time, I give myself a lot of leeway to discover new things as I write because there's a lot of times I'll be like just typing away and then just like bam out of the blue I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I need to do that and I need to add that."
Hmm.
So, I feel better with a certain level of structure in planning my writing, but I still feel like getting the random ideas as a pantser, as I like to say. I like allowing that to incorporate myself itself in my writing as well.
I'm the type of person that kind of write. I'm not an outliner because I am actually writing my own novel, and I just kind of like type as because I have it in my mind. Was it the way with you, or did you really have like a plan of action with your book?
I think I think I just kind of just let it go. I kind of just yeah. I think for the most part I do it similar in the same way, where I just
Okay.
kind of have it come out as I type.
How did you came up with the other worlds, like the new planet, the description, the whatever magical or the world building about this new planet that we're talking about? Because it seems like the clues that you kind of gave on the first four chapters seems like the people that are on that planet are part of their people somehow. I don't know. I can't say because I really don't know, but that's kind of the idea I got. I'm not sure. But how did you come up with the world building in that in those planets or that planet?
That came from a lifetime of playing RPGs, like
Okay.
fantasy RPGs, and playing Dungeons and Dragons. I've played slash created many different worlds, and so I feel like I have a serious advantage, at least in the imagination department, of creating a world that's unique and interesting, that has depth to it as well. Because I mean, making a flashy, pretty planet, that's I mean, I don't necessarily want to say that's easy, but I mean, there is a simplicity to it, but adding things to it that make it feel alive and make it feel like a real place to the reader, that's the kind of thing that's really important when you are playing games like Dungeons and Dragons or when you're playing through an RPG. So I can definitely say that those activities helped me a lot with world building.
Yeah, that is a lot of experience in that arena. I actually my son is kind of wanted to get into Dungeons and Dragons, and we got the one of the sets that was recommended for us. We yet need to play, but it is something that we want to start to get into because he I want him to be part of that imagination world, and I feel like people such as yourself who play Dungeons and Dragons end up becoming authors.
Yeah.
And so I was when I was actually way before I even knew about people who actually became authors from being having that background of Dungeons and Dragons and RPG. And I was like, I was so impressed because I didn't even think there's other people who had different backgrounds that were, authors. And because my idea was what the movie showed, you sit down and they're just writing and that's it. But people come from different backgrounds, such as yourself. You did RPG, you did Dungeons and Dragons, and some people like the previous one, the author that I interviewed last week. She's an engineer, so everybody has a different background, and I just love the way their backgrounds bring in the worlds such as the
Oh
one
yeah.
that you just created, and it's very impressive to see that, to come alive when you're like, I know that Dungeons and Dragons, you play on a table and you create those worlds. Now it's like you're giving your world to other people's hands, and they can read it and have it in their mind too. Did any character surprise you while writing? Maybe someone who ended up becoming much more important than you originally expected?
Absolutely. Lauren, the pilot. I I just started her off with just kind of being this joking, "Hey, I'm gonna make quips at the captain. I'm gonna." I mean, at first, I mean, she kind of started as a stereotype because you see it so much in sci-fi. The quirky pilot that's always got a joke and whatnot. But the more I wrote about her, the more I enjoyed the potential for depth that she had as a character, because she could be lighthearted, but she could be very serious. She's very tough. She's very passionate. And it got to a point where I needed to have her to be a bigger part of the story. So it might you might not see it so much in the first book, but in the second and especially in the third book, she is a very important and major character. And to no surprise, she was actually the favorite of a couple of my beta readers, just from the first book, just from the rough drafts that aren't even as good as the finished product. Even back then, they were saying, "I really love Lauren, and I hope to see more
Mhm.
with her." So all that together, yeah, yeah, she's definitely the one that surprised me the most.
Wonderful. Yeah, I really liked her too. Is she the one that I believe, if I wasn't incorrect, she was the short one of the short
She is
ones?
she is on the shorter side, yes. She's
Yes.
short, red hair. She's the one that said that her wife doesn't mind if she has relations while she's out exploring the universe, as long as she never has to meet them.
Yes, I saw. I do remember that. It I don't know if was she related to one of the characters in there, because I thought she was. I don't know.
Yes. Reynard, he's the weapons officer.
Mhm.
He's a Yeah, he's a weapons detective officer. They're cousins.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I kind of went and I kind of saw it that they were related, but I was like, are they like, I couldn't remember if it was brother or cousin, but I know they were related, and but she was like short, and that kind of cut, stuck with me that she was short. So every writer has a scene that's either their favorite or the other that challenged them the most. Which scene was the most fun to write, and which one pushed you to the hardest as an author?
Um, the one that was the most fun, difficult to say without spoilers. There's a scene later where one of the characters comes very, very, very close to dying. And it's a really emotional scene that the rest of the main cast, is they're on pins and needles. They're not sure if the person's going to make it. They're not sure if the person's going to die. And this person's acts, because this happens to them because they do a very, very selfless act, that
Mm-hmm.
they're literally willing to die to save everyone. And this this creates a big emotional tone shift in the main cast, and it helps them come to an important decision about what they're going to do on the planet as a result. It has, and to this day I get emotional thinking about it. I think about that scene and what it means for everybody. And it was one of the original very, very, very first scenes that I planned, that I thought, I need to get this on paper and I need people to see this. And again, not going to spoil anything, but I'm really hoping that people absorb that and have the same like emotional resonance as that. I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, you'll have to tell me like later on if you get to that point. Um The most challenging is at the end of the book, there is this just big, huge battle scene where you've got armies that are fighting. Like the I mean, in my mind, it's as big and as epic as like a Lord of the Rings army fighting scene.
Okay.
I mean that's the pinnacle that most fantasy authors are going to aspire to. But it was difficult to capture everything that happens because every important character in the book is part of that scene. Every important threat is part of that scene in one way or the other. So having it all together and getting the important points across, having and not having things lost in the background noise of everything that's happening, it was an enormous challenge. I had to rewrite that scene, that chunk. I mean, it's not even a scene, it's like a whole big chunk of the book. I had to rewrite that so many times and take away stuff, add stuff. And my wife helped me a lot with that one, actually. There's entire parts of that she even rewrote and did much better. Um, but that was definitely the biggest challenge. I think it came out really well. I hope it did. Um, but yeah, that was definitely the biggest challenge. And I've seen a lot of authors actually say that like big fight scenes like that are the most challenging because there's so much involved.
Oh, I can't wait to to read that part. I'm like, what's going on? I want to go and read it. So now it's like after our interview, I'm actually gonna start reading at least 4 chapters a day because I'm serious. Like you, that book got me really intrigued, and I can't not know what's gonna happen. So I know you're bringing your next book is coming out. When is that?
I really wish I had a date. Right now, I have finished the first draft. I am currently in the process of editing that first
Okay.
draft. And it's a bit of a slog because that first draft, that first edit is just, there's so much to take care of. Um, I'm hoping that once I get past the bigger edits, the process will be a lot smoother because this time I know what to expect and whatnot. But I
Mm-hmm.
I do not feel comfortable saying a date until I am 100% certain because I do not want to be like some other famous authors. I'm not going to name names where I set up expectations and then my readers are just left wondering what's going on.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But so tell me, but is it gonna come soon or is it
I
something
hope so.
that
I hope so. I really, really, really want to have it released in the next like couple years. Um, it's one big thing is that I've got 3 kids that I am a stay-at-home dad and take care of, and my wife works as a nurse. I mean, a lot of my time is taken up, and it's difficult to have the right environment to work on all this. But I promise it is getting worked on. I promise it will be done, and I promise I will do it as fast as possible. I just it's just difficult to give an exact time frame.
Oh, okay, well, I hope it comes out soon because if it's good, the first book, and I'm very intrigued about it. I'm not gonna want to wait until second book, but I'll be patient. I'll
I
be
appreciate
patient.
that. And you know what? The wonderful things you've said, it's so heartwarming and it really helps light a fire under me. It's like I have got people that enjoy this and they want to read it, so I need to hurry up and I need to get this done. So it definitely motivates me.
I gotta tell you that a lot of people think that, well, other authors are really writing and they are they're not sure that the book is good enough because they believe that other people are not gonna enjoy it, but you don't know that. And
Right.
putting out into the world, it's actually you're gonna get your own people, as you know, Arcblade has his own
Yeah.
people, and yeah, hopefully you'll have that book out soon, and we'll be able to, create another podcast interview with that a new book whenever you bring it out because
Yeah, absolutely.
I do. next time, whenever it comes out, I really want to read it all through before we even talk because I wanna I want to talk. I actually like the fact that I could ask questions about the book to the authors, and especially stuff that really got me. And so, like I mentioned, like the first four chapters, I was able to ask you questions and give a little bit of feedback of what I thought, and I really I couldn't be more satisfied about the book. I'm serious, like it's just I'm gonna read it and finish it, and maybe we can come back to this story again and we can talk
Yeah,
about it again even more in detail.
I'd be happy
Obviously,
to.
yeah, definitely. If you could spend one day inside the world of Arcblade, where would you go first, and who would you actually trust Lark without spoiling? So,
Um, Based on the events of the first four chapters, I think I'd be right along with the crew, and I would be very uncertain because you know he comes off as having good intentions, but he also comes off as very guarded. It's it's obvious that there's things he's not entirely sharing, but at the same time, the fact that he's willing to risk himself by like saying, "Yeah, I'll come on the ship. I'm unarmed. You can kill me if I do anything bad." That helps a lot, but it's difficult to trust in a situation like that. So
hmm
I think objectively that would be my position. And as far as one day, there is I mean, this isn't too much of a spoiler, but later on you're going to get to see a kingdom that is all along a coastline. And I love beaches, oceans, coasts, stuff like that. I mean, I live 45 minutes from the Oregon coast. Me and my wife go
hmm
there all the time as little day trips, vacations, whatever. I love seeing the ocean. So I can say with absolute certainty that if I could spend a day anywhere, it would be there in a coastal kingdom and just exploring and experiencing that.
So what I saw in the book, the first, I'm just gonna talk about the first four chapters. It seems like the ship is some advanced technology, and when you mentioned the kingdom, it even mentioned in the first four chapters in the sample whenever I downloaded it. It talked about kingdoms. Are we talking about different time frame in era, I guess? Are they more like medieval and then more advanced, or how is it?
It's it's got a basic design of medieval fantasy, but the more you learn about it, the more you see that there are differences. I mean, like right off the bat, you see that Lark's got a vehicle that's a hovercraft that can
Mhm.
fire energy blasts, and that immediately suggests more advanced technology than what we have in present day. But there's a lot of things that are designed like medieval fantasy, especially in that kingdom I mentioned, because you're going to see a lot of that there. But at the same time, there will be other places they go, other people they see, and you'll see samples and ideas of technology that is far more advanced, even societal structures and ideas that seem to be more advanced.
Mm.
And again, hard to say without saying spoilers, but I like the idea of having the familiar idea because so many people approach fantasy. It's like medieval fantasy, this is the normal stock, and you get comfortable with that idea, but then you start to see the differences, and hopefully that excites the reader to have that foundation and then enjoy the other extra things that are added to it.
I really saw the difference in between because I was like the ship is very technological and no magic. And then you go into this new planet which involves magic, but also I saw Lark, well, I saw in my mind Lark as with a sword. So it got me
Yes.
thinking. And then he talking about kingdom, so it got me thinking that it might be a mixture of medieval and also magical, but also technology involved in it, and it was well written in there. And well, I was able to enjoy that part because I do like medieval, but also I like the magic and the fact that the modern, I guess, the futuristic form of technology came into play. I actually enjoy that too, in a lot because I do have a book that I read, from the Sarah J. Maas, and she is actually wrote a book called The Crescent City, which is more like modern, but also has magic involved and so on. So the fact that you had that in the book kind of got me a bit excited, and I really enjoyed it. So before we end up at this podcast, can you tell me I like to give authors, new authors or authors in general, a tip. So throughout your journey, what tip would you give authors, new ones or even the ones that are established?
Hmm. Um, be humble.
Mm.
That's probably like the most important thing because approaching if you're a new author, approaching the process with humility is important because you have to accept that there's things you aren't going to know and things that you need to learn. And if you come at it being arrogant and saying, I know what I'm doing, you are going to make mistakes left and right, and you're probably going to crash and burn. And established authors, even famous authors, humility is important because I mean, I've been a fan of reading my entire life. I've read fantasy books my entire life. And there was an author, I don't want to say names, but there was an author whose series I liked, had some flaws to it, but I liked, and I was willing to overlook a lot of those flaws until I found out that the author himself was kind of a jerk. And there was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times where there were instances that he was really condescending and mean to his readers because they didn't share his vision. And that just immediately soured me on the entire series. And I'm sure everyone, I mean, not everyone, but a lot of people can probably relate to that, that there's an author they liked at first, but then they find out that, you know, they're a jerk and they're just arrogant and they they get a modicum of success and they immediately think they're God's gift to the literary world. And I think that having humility and being able to relate to your readers, no matter how small they might be, if they're just a normal little kid that just enjoys the book, being able to relate to every single one of your readers, even if they're highly critical of your book,
Mm-hmm.
it's vital to be able to do that.
I think that is a wonderful tip to give because yes, I guess it goes with everything, but especially as an author, if people don't like love your book, but if they found you're not a good person, they're probably not gonna want to be reading future stories about you because yeah, it doesn't it's not a good feeling to have.
Yeah.
Uh, so I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It was wonderful getting to learn more about your Arcblade and your creative journey. I really appreciate you talking to me and taking time. And I can't wait to continue reading the rest of the book. Do you have, is it a book signings or anything that people want to go and see you, or where can they find you as well?
Okay, well, I have a social media page on Threads and Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, and even TikTok, even though I'm a little at a loss at using TikTok, but I'm told it's great for authors, so I'm trying to learn. um, I utilize all of those social media. Threads is the one I'm the most. Threads and Facebook are the ones I'm most active on. So if anybody wants to find me, um, Arcblade, Archblade is a good way to just kind of find me. Apparently, there's a band out there with that name. I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, just searching for me there. That's a good way to find me, to contact me. And as far as events go, I don't have anything at the moment. I'm hoping to be a part of a big book event in Southern Oregon next year around March, but I am currently waiting on the confirmation email for that one. But yeah, whenever I'm a big part of the events, I always post on my social media. I've done a couple
Mhm.
book signings at Barnes and Noble. I've done a couple of in-person author meetings and signings at a couple of indie bookstores. I don't have a lot of money for traveling, so they tend to all be in like Oregon. Yeah, that's it.
All right. So, to everybody that's listening, if today's conversation sparked your curiosity, be sure to check out Archblade Legend of the Defiler, the first book in the Arcblade saga. And always thank you for listening in Between the Realms. Until next time, keep reading, keep creating, and keep exploring new worlds. Thank you, Charles.